Talking trains this afternoon. We're talking what you do with a repurposed train, because you have been given the opportunity to get those old hulking bits of I'm going to say, you've got to be diplomatic because you can't swear on the radio, but they are awful things, aren't they? If you're stuck in them when it's in rush hour anyway, the pacer trains are a miserable thing. They really are. Some people see them quite fondly, they reminisce quite fondly, but the reality is they're old and uncomfortable and they're not fit for purpose, which is why they've finally been gotten rid of. They're only meant to be a stopgap anyway, and they've been around the best part of 30 years now. So what would you do with them now that the Department for Transport is offering you the opportunity to do something with them? They're suggesting things like community centres. It'll be freezing in February. Or maybe you could turn them into a cafe, or maybe you could turn them into a B&B. Now, my next guest is someone who knows all about this, but not with trains, but with a helicopter instead. Chris Gornell joins us. Now, Chris has got a fantastically unique idea. Chris converted a helicopter into, well, effectively a B&B at Ream's Hills Holiday Park. Hi, Chris, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Johnny. Yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Tell us about your helicopter.
Oh, crikey, it's our pride and joy. It's a 1982 Western Lynx helicopter that actually did serve with the Army on Salisbury Plain.
How interesting. Now, when did you first get the idea to turn a Lynx helicopter into accommodation? Because it's not the most obvious thought. When I see a Lynx helicopter, I don't think, hey, that'd make a great B&B.
No, we were looking at setting the holiday park up initially back in around 2013. And we were looking for something that would make us different from everybody else. And my colleague actually flies helicopters, so that came up one evening over a drink, and it all sort of stemmed from there, really.
Right. Okay.
We ended up at an army surplus auction, and lo and behold, we then ended up with the Lynx.
Right. And what do people think when they come on and see the helicopter? Because it's, I mean, I love military aircraft. So seeing them up close is always a real thrill for me. But I can't imagine what it would be like to go and stay in one.
The features on people's faces are absolutely marvellous. It's the picture, particularly for the children. Literally had somebody book out just this morning after staying last night with two kiddies, and their faces as when they came in last night and they saw what it was they were staying in, because the mum had kept it all a secret. It really is one of those Christmas morning type expressions. It's wonderful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, kids especially, that would be fantastic. What's the practicalities like then? Because Lynx aren't, I mean, we're not talking about a massive Sea King helicopter here, are we? Lynx aren't the biggest of helicopters.
It's not the biggest helicopter in the world by any means, but we did put a bit of thought into it. We've actually, the tail section of the helicopter is rigged up for sleeping, and the cockpit has, obviously, additional seating. There's a television, there's a microwave, there's a fridge, there's a sink. You've got everything you really need. I probably wouldn't want to spend a fortnight's holiday in it, I have to say. But for one night to two nights, and particularly if it's a special occasion, such as a birthday, I mean, I've said before, it's wonderful for kids aged between 6 and 60.
Yeah, I can imagine. Absolutely. And do you... I mean, I don't want to reinforce gender stereotypes here, but is it mostly the boys and the fellas that get the biggest enjoyment out of it?
Absolutely not. We've had mums staying in it with children. We've had dads staying with children. It really does seem to cross the gender divide completely. The only thing I would say, perhaps from the male point of view, is that we get a lot of people who are staying on the side who see the helicopter and their eyes light up. And only this morning I was talking to one chap who told me he actually flew Lynx helicopters 40 years or so ago. Right.
Oh, that's great. I can imagine that the family staying in there sometimes have their privacy encroached on, don't they? If they're trying to get dressed in the morning, you've got some some military historian looking through the windows whilst they're in their undies.
All I can say is there are curtains provided.
Oh, right, good. That's good.
But I think you have to be used to perhaps people stopping and doing a double take if they walk past the machine.
Yeah. Can I ask, what's the going rate for a decommissioned Lynx helicopter?
Much depends on how decommission relates to. I don't really want to say how much we paid for this.
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
But perhaps not as expensive as you might imagine.
Right. So we're not talking hundreds of thousands of pounds?
Oh, by no means no. No means no. You're a few additional zeros there.
Right. Oh, really? Right, OK. And how much would it cost if we wanted to come and spend the night in the X-Ray Zulu 676 Lynx?
Much would depend on when you want to come, but as a very general idea, anywhere between 100 and just under £150 per night.
Right, OK. And it sleeps 4, you say?
It sleeps 4, but I would specify actually probably better as 2 plus 2. You would probably squeeze to get 4 adults in, but 2 adults and 2 children, the standard nuclear family, would be fabulous.
Yeah. Oh, what a great family holiday. That you would never forget that, would you? I still have fond memories looking back. I was talking about this yesterday of going on a caravan trip to Cornwall. So imagine a kid looking back going on and staying in a helicopter as part of their holiday in Lancashire. What a wonderful memory that would be.
Well, we do actually provide the children with certificates commemorating this day in our Lynx helicopter, and they're absolutely super for when they go back and do show and tell at school.
Oh, yeah, your friends would be so envious. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic idea. Well, Chris, lovely to talk to you. I'm sure you'll have a jam-packed summer, no doubt. And I bet last year was fantastic with the weather, wasn't it?
Last year was absolutely marvellous. Please, Lord, can we have some more?
Chris, nice to talk to you. Good luck with your summer.
Thank you, Johnny, very much. Thank you.
Good guy, Chris Cornell there. So that's Chris Cornell, who runs the Ream Holiday Park. It's at Wheaton, Preston. Looks beautiful around there, actually. And you can actually go on the website and see the helicopter flying. It doesn't fly anymore. I'm pretty confident of that, although imagine if it did. You got up and pressed the wrong button in the middle of the night when you're a little bit sleepy. 81333, start that message with the word Leeds, or it's 0800 389 3333 for your calls and your text this afternoon, please. What would you do with those pacer trains that you've been offered the opportunity to take on? And have you stayed anywhere like what we've just heard there from Chris? Weird and wonderful places.